Okay, hello everybody. In today's video I'm going to talk about how to save small business in Australia and right around the world, of course. This is applicable in any country, but I'm going to be speaking specifically to Australia. How to reinvigorate small business, how to nick off this monopolisation from the multinationals, and how to really create hundreds of thousands of jobs in Australia and millions right around the world. So my name is Philip J. Watt. I'm an author, a hypnopsychotherapist, and I do presentations every now and again as well. I was literally destined to speak at the Going Local conference in Byron Bay 2 weeks ago about this particular subject, about these particular crises and how we need to insulate ourselves against them. Obviously, as a Going Local conference, the focus is on localisation. It was quite a big event. Russell Brand was going to be speaking at it from overseas in his home country. And the whole focus is about localisation. Specifically, I'd be looking at local food supplies, sovereign money to fund a huge infrastructural expansion of localising or relocalising our economies, as well as building decentralised networks of the local public banking system, and also, of course, building mass hemp resource systems for our paper, for our plastics, for our biofuels, for our building materials, our furniture, our medicine, some foods, beer, wine. You can create nearly whole houses out of hemp. They're fireproof, mold-proof and pest-proof. Important information that everybody should know, especially after our fire crisis last year and early this year. And you can also make your vehicles completely out of hemp, or mostly out of hemp. You can make a hemp plastic 10 times stronger than steel. You can create nearly whole cars out of it. Henry Ford did it back in the 1940s. This stuff's been around for a long time, and we need to bring it back online immediately. So that was going to be my focus at the presentation. Now, as you can see, I'm a small business owner myself as well. We have a hemp shop in Bellingen, which is on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. Obviously, we're going to have to make some serious sacrifices over the next few months, including we're not sure how well our business is going to survive, but that's okay, because I look at this as a grand opportunity. The corona crisis is a grand opportunity for us both on an individual and a collective scale. Individually, it's helping us, many people, to reprioritise their needs, right? This is an opportunity or a challenge that will people will either make or break themselves out of it. There's going to be a lot of suicides, a lot of deaths, a lot of suffering. Yes, and it's a very sad state of affairs. However, we don't need to go down that path. We can look at this as an opportunity to understand our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with our families and our communities, and our relationship with reality at large, including how we spend our money and how we actually just care for ourselves and each other, really simply, right? So individually, it's a really good opportunity to start reorganising our lives and building in self-reliance. There's going to be a lot of gardens being built. There are being a lot of gardens being built at the moment. That's a really good thing. There's also a lot of people working on their own needs at home, and there's great goodness that's going to come out of this. Now, the reason why I say it's a grand opportunity, basically a godsend, is that this was inevitable. There was always going to be something that interrupts the foolish just-in-time supply system, which is a globalisation product. What we need to do is relocalise our economies through food, water, and, of course, resources via hemp. Now, that will insulate ourselves from not just a disease pandemic, but also if a solar flare, like happened in the 1859 Carrington event, or in 2012, which didn't hit Earth, but fortunately, but if it did hit Earth, see you later electricity grids. There goes 90% of our population within a couple of years. We would not be able to provide the food, the trucks would stop, the boats would stop, the electricity would stop, the fuel would stop. It would be absolute carnage. So we're sort of gifted this opportunity right now to move forward in a way where we do literally insulate ourselves from when these inevitabilities will happen in the future. It's wise to do it for ourselves as well as our future generations. And all of this stuff is going to help the environment too, because hemp is a non-toxic product. You can make environmentally friendly products from it, all of them, 50,000, like tens of thousands of products you can create from hemp. And you can also repair soil with it and just clean up the environment on so many different levels. So this is why it's a godsend. Collectively, we're having what I'm calling a soft landing apocalypse or a soft landing collapse. We still can share the information. We can still get the information out there and prepare ourselves and our lives accordingly, as well as prepare how we're going to rebuild our system from here on in. The old normal's gone. There is going to be a new normal, and it's whether or not we capitalize on it as a people, as a collective, to rebuild it in a very wise and intelligent way. That's where localisation is super, super important. Now, we've got this opportunity to do this now because we have in Australia what is called a sovereign currency. The Australian dollar is created by the Australian people. We give legitimacy to our government to create it, and therefore we can never run out of it. For those who don't understand how money works, it's just numbers on a spreadsheet on a computer. That's all it is. Where did the $300 billion come from? Well, it was created out of nothing, of course, just by punching numbers into a computer. But who do we pay the interest to on that $300 billion loan? Well, private stakeholders. Now, we used to have it differently. We used to have it as a public purse. King O'Malley and Denison Miller. Remember those two names. They are true unsung Aussie heroes. Every Australian should know about them. They created the Commonwealth Bank of Australia back in the early 1900s, and they ran it for quite a few years, about 10 to 15 years, as at one point a public central bank, the best public central bank model that has ever existed on this planet. And they funded World War I and a whole host of infrastructural expansion, including trams and railways and roadways and electricity plants and whatever else they need to do to basically lay the foundation for the prosperity that we all know and love in Australia. So we did that again in World War II. We enacted emergency legislation, gave the Commonwealth Bank of Australia pretty much all the powers of a public central bank again, and we funded a huge expansion of our economy back then. We don't need the $300 billion from private stakeholders. We can create that ourselves through the Australian dollar. It's a sovereign currency. I know this should be blowing your mind if you don't understand this information. The media don't talk about it. The politicians don't talk about it. That's why you don't know about it, because you've been propagandized into the box. And the box is the current economic system, neoliberalism, and a whole host of different other theories and philosophies and behaviours, practices. We are now moving back to, if we're intelligent enough, a public money supply so that we can fund local, public, infrastructural expansion projects, including services. We can resolve homelessness and huge amounts of poverty and sickness and a whole host of stuff by enacting all of these things I'm talking about now. We can really bring small business back and, as I said before, nick off the multinationals, the monopolies, and really help Australia as we move forward to become a leading example on the world stage, how to care for our needs, our food needs, our water needs, and our resource needs in an environmentally friendly way, and do it with honour and authenticity and just truth and freedom and beauty and love and spirit and all the goodness, right? We have a very sick system on many different levels. It's time to convert into a healthy system, and so that each individual and the collective have greater access to the services and the resources that they need to truly live a happy, healthy and peaceful life. So thank you for watching, and I really hope you share this video and help understand that the economic collapse needn't be a big problem. We can just renationalise our central bank. We can do a modern debt jubilee if we need to. We can build a decentralised network of local public banks, just like they're doing in Mexico. They're expanding from 600 to 2,500 or 3,000 local public banks. And we can fund a huge expansion infrastructure, such as bringing back our manufacturing, bringing hemp online big time so that we can produce, process, manufacture and retail all of our resources in Australia, building true abundance and freedom into our local communities. Economic crisis over. You're welcome. Thanks for watching.